Welcome back, you guys. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Swadik Mayanja, but you guys can call me Q. We've got quite the list of stories today for you. Some highs, some lows, per usual, but that's the news and that's what you guys come here for, so let me just jump right on in.
You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
So story numero uno. Starting out with the hospital shooting. Yes, that's where we're going to start today. But don't worry, there is good news coming your way. All right, so stick around. Just hear me out here. But we got to talk about this because it's a scary situation. So there was a man that walked into the Westchester Medical Center in New York and ended up killing a patient and himself. Both himself and the patient that he murdered in cold blood were 70 years old or around that age. And the twisty twist in the story is that they were married. And according to reports and people that were there, the husband that came by to visit the wife, often even before this situation, they had no signs of this. No one guessed that there was any abuse, but they haven't even put out the reason that the wife was there in the hospital. Who knows why, but my question is, he went into the hospital with a gun, and this always gets me to shake and just get a little afraid, just because I know at the hospitals I've been to and the hospital I work at, you just walk through the door, doesn't jacket, coat, whatever. Yes, there's security guard, but unless you're carrying the gun in your hand and it's not in your pocket, no one would stop you, no one would ask you, no one would search for you. And I don't want to get to the place in America where we have to do that, but this is a scary situation. I mean, can you imagine just going through your day-to-day at just doing your job, and then one of the visitors, one of the patient's family, or anyone at all just walks into the hospital, guns blazing, and starts shooting up the place. Because they were in a relationship, the questions obviously out there: was this something that he has planned to do? Is this something that she wanted to happen? You know, when there's a lot of patients, and especially without the euthanasia in this country, there's a lot to it. We don't know what the details are, but this is what happened. And this is not the first time. This happens quite often. There was actually another shooting in Bronx. There's a hospital in Bronx, New York, last year in 2017. Very not a similar case at that time. I actually did a story about this where a gunman came in after he was fired or let go because of some sexual harassment accusations. He came in guns blazing, killed one of the medical staff, wounded 4 or 5 others, and then ended up killing himself. We can't have this happen. I also don't want to live in a situation where every time I walk into a hospital, instead of me running up to go visit my friend, family, whoever is there, instead of me going up to go to my goddamn job, go to my unit to start working, I have to get patted down to make sure I don't have a gun. I don't want to live in that world, but we need to find a way to stay safe. You guys know my feelings about gun control. I want as much gun control as there possibly can be. I want recheckups. I want, background checks. I want to make sure that people are mentally stable who are buying these guns. I want the whole 9. Right? I want it all. But we'll get there, right? We'll get there. Moving on. So I love the story because this just gives power to the people. This is the definition of power to the people. So unions in Missouri just rejected a right to work law that they tried to get passed in the state of Missouri. What the right to work law is basically allows people that are part of a union to make the decision whether they can pay the union fees or not. Now understand that it sounds good, right? In the beginning it sounds good. You're part of a union, but you also get to choose if you want to pay the fees or not. The only sensible thing that happens to that union, if that is an option for people who are part of the union, and understand this, even if you're part of a union and you refuse to pay the fees, you still get all of the goodies that come with being part of the union. But the more and more people that choose not to pay for the fees that are part of the union gives the union less power, which means they have less to negotiate with. They has less leverage to use when negotiating with these big multi-million, multi-billion dollar companies. So if you tell people who are part of the union, you can stay in the union, you don't have to pay for the fees, and you still get the goodies that come with being part of the union, obviously people are going to be like, oh yes, of course I'm not going to pay for these fees. Let me just get the goodies. And the more people that do that, the less power the unions have, which at the end of the day ends up just being no unions at all. Well, there'll be a union, but no one will be paying into it. They'll have no leverage. They'll have no way to negotiate with these multi-billion-dollar corporations. The people of Missouri are smart. They fought back. They rejected this law. It is not going to pass, and it's a good thing. And I am all for it. The midterm elections are coming up soon. And I'm super excited about these midterm elections. Number one, because we've got quite a bit of Justice Democrats that are going to be running, and go Justice Democrats, go Justice Democrats. They are, who, if you don't know what a Justice Democrat are, they are a progressive wing of the Democratic Party, and they are uncorrupted. They do not take any PAC money from any. All of their money comes from the people, donors. $27. Mr. Bernie Sanders' way of raising money. No PAC money at all. So that's why I'm excited about this year's midterm elections. But on top of that, this is a good year for women. Good year for women. But this is a good midterm election for women, right? So it's a record-breaking year for women in the election. So they broke the record. So now there are 11 female nominees for governor and at least 182 other females that are part of the major party that will be running for the House this November. This is beating the record of 167 from 2016, and there are also another at least bare minimum at least 3 other women that are in super close tight races that happened just this past Monday. So we will find out what that happens. It could be at 182 and it could be as high as 185. I'm back to a little bit of sad news, and this is I like to talk about this topic just because it's hard. Right? So we want people to believe in whatever they want to believe in. We want everyone to be as religious as possible. We want everyone to be as non-religious as possible. We want people to do whatever the goddamn hell they want to do, as long as that does not harm other human beings. And this story really hits home to me because this is the kind of thing that I really have a hard time with, especially when it comes to the ethics of the situation. So what am I talking about? There's a baby that died of malnutrition after the parents refused to get help from hospitals because they were Christian and they did not believe or want the medical help. They believed that it was God's will that will either save the baby or not. Is this entirely true? Maybe not, because let me get into the details. Let me tell you what happened, and then we'll go from there. So a 10-month-old girl died of malnutrition and dehydration after her Christian parents allegedly refused to seek medical help for religious reasons, fear of child services, and a lack of trust in medical service. The parents' names are Seth and Tatiana, and they have been charged with felony, murder, and first-degree child abuse in the death of their daughter, Mary. I think they throw the book at them, because on top of the fact that their 10-month-old girl has died, they also have 2 more children, and both of which were malnutrition, they were neglected. It's a sad situation. It's a really, really sad situation. So Welch, which is the husband, Mr. Seth Welch, has posted about Child Protective Services, a distrust of doctors and religious beliefs on Facebook. He called doctors priesthoods of the medical cult, and spoke in one video post about refusing to get his children vaccinated. The righteous shall live by faith. It's God who is sovereign over disease and those sorts of things, and of course ultimately deaths, he said. This is the things that really get me, turning and, frustrated, right? It's really, really frustrating. I want you to believe in whatever you want to believe in, but what I don't want you to do is put other people in harm because of your beliefs, right? And especially when it comes to these very types of situations where it's, parents and children, and they get the choice to say, no, I don't want my kids vaccinated. No, I don't want to take my kids to the hospital. I want to use some herbs. I want to use some, spices. I want to pray for my kid instead of helping them and taking them to the hospital. You can do all of the above. You can do all of the extra stuff you want to do. But when it's not your life we are talking about, please, please, please take those children to the hospital. And I feel like this is common sense. I don't even know why I'm saying it, but it makes me really upset to know that this is the kind of thinking that people actually have. Specifically with this situation, I'm in the thinking that they were using the religion as an excuse of just not treating their children right, because the situation says that they had two other older two other older siblings, two other older children, right? And both of those children were taken away after the situation, obviously, number one. But number two, they were also charged for neglect for those two older children. So it's not like those two older children were healthy, young, and whatever, and just the baby was sick and they just didn't want to take him to the hospital. No, they were also not feeding these kids, neglecting these kids. So I think, number one, they're bad human beings. Number two, the religion but gives them a rationale to be bad. I'm saying that, obviously, I don't believe it. I'm not saying anything about the whole religion. All I'm saying is that in this situation, that was their excuse to not take the children to the hospital. But I also think, on top of everything else, forget the religion about it. Those are just two bad human beings. Throw the book at them. Yes, if they need to go to jail, you took a 10-month-old baby's life away for no reason at all. Take him to the hospital. It would have been that simple. If you can't handle the children, if you don't want to take care of your children, at least put them up for adoption. There's just no excuse. There's no excuse, and it hurts to even talk about it. Moving on. And I love the story. I absolutely love the story. I mean, so I don't know if you guys know, but when I first started when I was in nursing school, I never wanted to work with the elderly. I thought that I didn't want to do the elderly care, pediatrics, or just general, adult. I wanted to do. But once I got once I was a CNA, I started working at a nursing home, and then I fell in love with the elderly population. And this story just makes me sing inside, right? So two older gentlemen that lived in an assisted living in Germany, yes, in Germany, snuck out of the assisted living and went to the biggest metal concert festival in the world. Yes, just the two of them alone went to the biggest metal concert in the world after sneaking out of an assisted living. How this happened, how they sneak out, no one knows, but they got to the concert. The crazy thing is, at the concert, at this metal fest, I'm going to show you a mini clip of what happens at these concerts. I'm not talking about like a concert where it's like, adults singing and everyone singing along. No. These are screaming, crazy, going nuts, wild, fans, mosh pits, the crazy things that you do at a goddamn metal concert.
Is there something after you? Will it get you? Can you feel the panic in you? Feel the panic in you? Can you feel the panic in you?
And it wasn't just the concert, it was the festival. So it was the whole goddamn, day, night, the whole thing. So the crazy thing is, they went to the festival, they got into the festival, right? And they partied all day, all night. The cops found them at 3 a.m. And when they found them, they said, quote, they were disoriented and dazed. So mental, Alzheimer's, are they memories intact, is the question. But the tickets to this concert were sold out months ago, right? So people are wondering, number one, was it just the security that let two older gentlemen with no tickets get through? Or, which I want to believe, because I feel like how else would they get it done? Or did these two gentlemen in advance buy these tickets, plan their escape like they're breaking out of jail? I mean, they need to make a movie about this, because this sounds so exciting. I love this. Anyways, they were found. They were safe. They found him at the police officer found him at 3 a.m. Like I said, they were disoriented and a little confused. But when they were taking him away, the two gentlemen were like, oh, no. Let me finish this party. This is 3 a.m., folks. I'm 24 years old. I can barely stay up past 2 a.m. These guys are goals. Life goals. Absolutely love it. Love it. Last story of the day. And I've been talking about this for the past couple of months, and we have just a little under a month left. We have a little under a month left. September 8th, 2018, it's the Boston Heart Walk, and I am here. As a nurse, I work on a cardiac unit. I see these patients every single day, all day, every day, right? And cardiovascular disease, number one, there's no cure, so there's no turnaround. There's a fix. We can fix we can fix the symptoms. We can put you on a better path. You can become a little healthier and make sure that the disease doesn't take you quicker. We can control it, but there's no cure. We can't stop it. We can't turn it around. And we're looking for research to make sure one day we can get to the day where we can cure cardiovascular disease. But until then, until then, we have no answers for it. So help me help the world. Join me in fighting cardiovascular disease. So let me give you some fun facts about why this disease, why cardiovascular disease is so dangerous, and you should, by all means, help raise money or come walk with me if you are in the New England, Boston area. The Boston Heart Walk will be in September 8, 2018. So, did you know that cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of all Americans? Most people do know that. Heart attacks are the biggest, scariest thing that happen to people, and happens way too often, right? Heart disease also kills more women than all forms of cancer combined, which is insane. Congenital cardiovascular defects are the most common cause of infant death from birth defects. So, join this heart walk. Over 300 cities do this heart walk. And I would like to just tell you, where would your money go? You're going to donate. It's good. You know it's for the heart walk, but where exactly is your money going? The two main places your money is going to go. Number one, up-to-the-minute research into doctors' hands so they can better prevent and treat heart disease among patients. And then number two, groundbreaking pediatric heart and stroke research that is key in saving babies' lives. So the majority of the money is going to research, both into the doctors' hands, the doctors who are actually doing this cardiovascular research every single day, and to research in general for the peds when it comes to specifically congenital defects and stroke. Like I said, congenital defects, #1 killer for infants due to birth defects, and cardiac disease, #1 killer of Americans, period. The easiest way to help, especially right now where we're raising money, is to just donate. So just hit the box below. Please give as much or as little as you can. Every little bit counts. It really does. We have a goal of reaching 5,000. We are at a measly 225. Measly. We have a month left and we're trying to get to 5,000, so I'm asking you guys to join. Help. I think it'll be a great thing if we all get there.